Okay, well, we're good to go. Well, we welcome everybody to the 2025 Annual Business Meeting of Vizo Financial Corporate Credit Union. This meeting is now called to order. We want to remind everybody that only authorized representatives of our member credit unions may address the meeting. To properly record the minutes of the meeting, we'll need you to identify yourself and the member credit union that you represent prior to addressing the meeting. We will not be taking any motions or seconds for actions, but rather we will only request opposition to any actions being addressed. And if there are no objections, we will accept the motion or the action as carried. And to address the meeting with a comment or an opposition to any actions, please select the raised hand icon and your line will be unmuted. And if at any time you have any problems with the transmission or the communication, please use the chat feature in the Zoom application, or you may email marketing@vfccu.org. Okay, I would like to introduce the current board of directors. I'm Jeff Chilius, the board chair, Riverfront Federal Credit Union, Wyomissing, Pennsylvania. Dan Barry, board vice chair, Duke University Federal Credit Union, Durham, North Carolina. Janice DeCorte, board treasurer, Health Share Credit Union, Greensboro, North Carolina. Derek Frizzell, board secretary, PAHO, WHO Federal Credit Union, Washington, D.C. Paul Hughes, Greenville Federal Credit Union, Greenville, South Carolina. Jerry King, Dextay Federal Credit Union, Wilmington, Delaware. Mark Volponi, USX Federal Credit Union, Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania. Scott Weaver, Carolina Foothills Federal Credit Union, Spartanburg, South Carolina. And Scott Woods, South Carolina Federal Credit Union, North Charleston, South Carolina. Our supervisory committee members are Amy Lichwa, chair, Norwin Teachers Federal Credit Union, Irwin, Pennsylvania. Elba Arenas, MC Federal Credit Union, Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. Diane Coleman Brown, Prince George's Community Federal Credit Union, Bowie, Maryland. Maria LaBelle, People Federal Credit Union, Greensburg, Pennsylvania. And Bill Yasko, Call Federal Credit Union, Richmond, Virginia. In 2024, Vizo Financial's credit committee members were Janice DeCorte from our board, served as chair. She was also joined by Carol Fisher, Corner Post Federal Credit Union, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and Richard Soschamauer, Member 1 Federal Credit Union, Roanoke, Virginia. Following discussions that we had at the board and staff level, it was determined that based on internal credit approval processes and the nature of the corporate's lending practices, there was no longer a need for a formal credit committee, and we moved reporting to the board level. So in early 2025, the North Carolina Credit Union Division approved the dissolution of the Vizo Financial Credit Committee. Vizo Financial has formed a liquidity advisory group that will meet on a quarterly basis to discuss liquidity trends in the industry and any other topics related to liquidity and funding. I would also like to introduce the executive management team. Fred Eisel, President, CEO. Lori Gall, EVP, Chief Operating Officer. Jeff Stoner, EVP, Chief Strategy Officer. Janice Appleby, SVP, Chief Human Resources Officer. Joe Bertato, SVP, Chief Culture Officer. Mark Brown, SVP, Chief Financial Officer. John Cuneo, SVP, Chief Risk Officer. Rodney May, SVP, Chief Engagement Officer. Brent Schaefer, SVP, Chief Technology Officer. Teresa Stetler, SVP, Chief Payments Officer. Tim Sustek, SVP, Chief Treasury Officer. Scott Wood, SVP, Chief Investment Officer. And we also have several other corporate staff with us today as well. And we thank everyone for attending. I would like now to appoint Valerie Stewart as the meeting moderator and Bonnie Cameron as the recording secretary for the 2025 annual meeting. And now I'd like to ask our board secretary, Derek Vizo, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mr. Chair, there is a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Derek. And the meeting minutes of Vizo Financial Corporate Credit Union's annual meeting, which was held on June 18th, 2024, were provided prior to the meeting's commencement. I'd like to call for any corrections, additions, and/or deletions at this time. And again, please select the raised hand icon if you'd like to comment, and your line will be unmuted. Okay, hearing none. Are there any objections to approving the minutes of the June 18th, 2024 annual meeting of Vizo Financial Corporate Credit Union? Again, please select the raised hand icon if you have an objection, and your line will be unmuted. Okay, great. Motion carries. We will now move on to the officer's report. I'll start with the chairman's report. This year's annual report was once again produced in electronic form, and a link to the report was provided to all registered attendees. It is also available on Vizo Financial's website. The official written chairman's and executive report appears in the 2024 annual report. However, I do wish to make a few additional comments today. So over the course of my lifetime, I've been fortunate enough to experience many periods of societal change, and I've also seen some incredible events unfold, and from the boom of the dot-com era to the chaos of a worldwide pandemic. But in all those years, nothing has come close to being as revolutionary as the age we're currently living in, and that is the age of artificial intelligence. Not only has AI presented us with the ability to create things that we've only ever seen or imagined in a futuristic world, and then there's the Marty McFly Back to the Future, which did give us some hope in the 1980s, but it's also proving to be an undeniable opportunity for credit unions to compete with big banks, stay on the cutting edge, and grow their memberships. It's this idea of innovation that Vizo Financial has embraced wholeheartedly in 2024, and it is what has allowed us to elevate the success of our corporate as well as that of our members throughout the year. To demonstrate just a few of these new advancements and transformations, I'll share just a few of the milestones that we've reached in 2024. We officially welcomed our new president, CEO, Fred Eisel. Fred's affinity for progress has helped us incorporate more innovative solutions into Vizo Financial's operations, from new products and services to a refocused strategic plan. The corporate was awarded its second Gallup Exceptional Workplace Award, thanks to our commitment to social connectedness, wellness, and a strengths-based culture. We reached record high profits and capital levels in 2024, which has allowed us to provide our biggest give back to capital members ever. And that totaled $4.1 million through our member incentive credit, or what we call the MIC program. And that officially launched the beginning of 2024. In addition to sharing our financial success with credit unions, we also achieved our highest member satisfaction scores to date. And that was due in part to new avenues for open communication, revitalized connections, and modern financial solutions. And perhaps most notably, in the name of innovation and elevation, we partnered with Vertus AI in November of 2024. And that was to deliver an AI solution that is transforming the way credit unions approach member growth. This solution takes the existing data that we have, combines it with the analytical power of AI to help institutions better understand the member economic participation and form a more relevant, personalized set of strategies for sustainable, forward-facing growth opportunities. It is also a solution that we are proud to share with credit unions, and we're confident that it will create a solid foundation for the future success of our movement. So I think we can all agree in 2024, it was a year of innovation and elevation for Vizo Financial. many accomplishments and accolades throughout the year, even beyond the ones we just highlighted, show our dedication to pushing the boundaries and making meaningful progress in the credit union movement. So with the same ideology holding strong in 2025, we are ready to continue elevating the corporate in an age of unprecedented opportunities. And as always, we thank you, our members and our affiliates, for your continued support of the corporate and for taking this journey with us to extraordinary new heights. So this completes my chairman's report. And the report of the treasurer, credit committee, and supervisory committee were printed in the annual report. And unless there are questions on those reports, we will accept those as presented and continue. Okay, I will now call on Fred Eisel to provide the executive report. Fred?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate that. And thank you for your comments during your chairman's report. Jeff went through a number of items and successes in 2024. I will highlight some of those. I'll go into a little more detail on some of those as well. So just looking at asset trends and just look at the financial picture very quickly. This is just the asset trends back to 2018. You can see the big uptick during the pandemic and eerily very consistent since then. And you see through April of this year, a little higher. Obviously, we have seasonal trends where assets increase in the first part of the year. For our budget in 2025, we assumed and projected that balances would look a little lower and trend a little lower than previous years. But so far this year, assets have stayed fairly consistent and much higher than we projected. And our anticipation is this year very similar to years past. So assets have stayed high and consistent since the pandemic, which we like. Looking at retained earnings, which is a capital measure we like to look at. This is not a benchmark that comes out of the regulation. This is just something internally that we have a long-term goal of keeping our retained earnings capital ratio above 6%. You can see since 2023, we have done that. And in April of this year so far, we're at 619. We ended last year at 611. And you'll see there the capital ratio went lower. That didn't mean capital went lower, just the ratio went lower because that's a function of our assets actually increasing as I just showed you. So capital remains very strong. The important capital measure that we like to look at is the Tier 1 capital ratio. And Tier 1 capital is the combination of your membership capital, the permanent capital, PCC, along with our retained earnings, makes up our Tier 1 capital ratio. That is part of the regulation and something we very much focus on, very critical to us. And as part of the regulation, to be considered well capitalized as a corporate credit union, we need to be above 5%. And you can see here, we have well above that target. Internally, we have a target, a long-term goal to be between 7 and 9%. We ended the year in 24 at 9.60. We're maintaining that level as we move into 2025. Again, that ratio, members ask me when they see this graph, it looks like capital's going lower. No, the ratio is going lower only because assets are moving higher, but capital continues to increase and we continue to build capital. So we're in a very good position there. The other measure we look at with regard to capital is our total risk-based capital. Here again, this is part of the regulation that we have to look at and to be considered a well-capitalized corporate. Our total risk-based capital ratio needs to be above 10%. And you can see here, we've got numbers that are almost off the chart. Ended last year at over 110% total risk-based capital. We're so far through April, we're north of 105%. And that's just a function of our balance sheet, which is extremely conservative, which is a bulk of cash and liquid funds on one side of the balance sheet and a lot of investments made up of government, 100% government guaranteed bonds. So it makes up a very conservative balance sheet. There is some risk on the balance sheet, but as you can see by the ratio, a very minimal risk that you'll find on the corporate balance sheet. So quick snapshot of financials. We're in a very, very good position. That's been the trend for the last number of years. Next slide. So once we've gotten to the point where we're at today as a corporate, and I've said this last year as well, This is probably the first time in our history as a corporate credit union that we don't really talk about capital or building capital. It's kind of all we've talked about for many, many years. And now we're to the point, as you've seen from those graphs, that we're in a good financial position. So we've gone to our board and to our membership and said, you know what? Now, what do we do? We're in a good capital position. We don't necessarily need to build capital going forward. How do we utilize some of your membership capital to make the corporate stronger and allow us to provide and deliver solutions to our members to make you more successful? And through our member conversations and survey, the focus was on the future. Let's look at technology and AI and things that could help the credit unions, but also don't lose sight of what our original purpose is as a corporate, which is financial management and liquidity and education. And so you can see here on the money management side, we're extremely liquid today through April of this year. We have about 3.7, we've averaged 3.7 billion in cash, which is high. Again, we're running much higher than we projected. So we remain very, very liquid for the needs of the cranes if that comes up. Right now, it appears many of our cranes are extremely liquid this year, but we remain very liquid, and that's a strong focus. I obviously staying well capitalized, and we have our long-term goals established as we just highlighted. The lines of credit, which is a key part of what a corporate does, we will not lose sight of that, and we want to continue to allow the lines of credit to be easy to access and a considerable flexibility for our membership. And we also want to pay a very competitive rate. We have our Flex account, which pays 5 basis points over over the Fed account, and also we do not tier our accounts. We have one rate of the Flex account. So if a member has $5 or 50 million, doesn't matter. Every member gets paid the same rate, no matter what their balance is, and that's extremely strong rate for overnight money. So that continues to be a focus. Payments are also a major pillar of the corporate. We've done this since our inception. And the big project we're working through now, as many of you may be aware of, you may have already converted over, and some may be planning to convert or on a schedule to convert, is over to our TransCapture platform. We are now going through the conversion to remote capture. It's been a slow process because so many conversions that needed to be done. But those that have converted over the TransCapture platform love the new platform and its capabilities. And then we're already beginning to look at converting our checks over to TransCapture. That'll be coming in 2026. FedNow and its payments is also a focus. More and more credit unions are adopting that. It's been a slow process. Some credit unions don't have an interest at this point, but we are ready for those credit unions that want to look at instant payments and move in that direction. And the last piece, it's again a core of what we've always done as a corporate is our education. We're very proud of that. We do a significant amount of education. You can see here, we do a lot of 41 webinars throughout 2024. Many have CPE credits tied to those, and we do record those for those folks that can't see the webinar live or want to have other staff members watch those. And as you can see, there are over 4,600 registered attendees through our webinar platform. We're also very proud of our conferences and workshops. We have a lot of one-day workshops, and we're very proud of our two major conferences. Our risk management conference we have every year in Hershey, Pennsylvania in the spring of the year. And then our other conference is our financial conference, which is in Asheville at the Grove Park Inn every year in September. This year, September 10th through 12th. Those are always very well attended. Again, also offer CPE credits. And of course, we do blogs and podcasts throughout the year to continue to provide quality education and information to our membership. The one thing we wanted to do strategically going forward, though, is again, not lose focus of what we do as a corporate and all the things I just mentioned is kind of the core of what we do. But also looking to the future and looking and talking to credit unions and see what else do you need from the corporate we can provide and help solve. Given we have plenty of capital, how can we reinvest in the corporate, invest in our membership to provide better solutions going forward? One area is we're reintroducing our risk solutions. You'll see more of that information coming in the latter part of this year into next year. And that's utilizing our very good relationships we have with some of the folks here on the screen with Defense, Storm, KnowBe4, and Fortra that provide a number of risk solutions to us. We're going to work with them to deliver some of those solutions to our membership. We're also working on creating our own information security group and having members that have folks as part of that position at their cranes to get together as a group, talk about best practices, some solutions, education. Again, the membership will see more information on that, and we welcome any member that has an interest in joining the information security group to look at that information and join that group and sign up. And it'd be a great opportunity for folks to get together and share ideas there. As Jeff mentioned in his chairman's report, the board did approve an investment with Vertus AI. We did not invest in Vertus AI, but Vertus AI is a platform. There's an AI platform to allow the member to grow. We heard this from our credit union contacts throughout last year is what is the need of the credit union? And most credit unions, a lot of credit unions say, and we're still talking to credit unions today and say the same thing. We have data. We don't know what to do with it. We don't have the resources to have a data analyst or data scientist on staff. And we're also looking to grow. We need to grow loans, grow membership. Vertus AI is a platform that allows all of that to happen. So the corporate, we've invested some money to make the pricing very affordable for Vertus AI. We've also hired a person internally to be a liaison between Vertus AI and the credit union and really help the credit union kind of onboard and get the Vertus AI platform moving ahead and help market to go out and grow the membership. This piece is very important, we believe, as credit more and more need to understand their membership. It's not anymore about trying to get a certain demographic of member. It's more understanding the membership behavior and being smarter and more in tune with what the member needs. And this model does all that. The key part of this is where we come in as not only providing this solution to our membership, but the pricing is attractive. It's a 3-year contract. The first year is free. And if the credit union is not satisfied after that first year, they can cancel with no obligation. We kind of eat that cost. That's where we feel we can utilize some of that capital to allow credit unions to test these platforms to make sure they fit with the credit union. We're very confident that this tool will be very effective, and that's why we have very attractive pricing. QuantWorks is a company in Durham, North Carolina, that developed Vertus AI, and they've developed other AI platforms. And this is we've begun to partner with QuantWorks in the past year and through this year. And one area that we wanted to do to work on is create a QSO for how to have QuantWorks come up with other AI platforms that credit unions may look to utilize. And so in the spring of this year, the board approved the creation of an innovation lab QSO that we have here, and we're partnering with QuantWorks to come up with more AI solutions that can come out of this QSO that would be a great solution for credit unions. The first one that has come out of this QSO is named Default Sleuth. And we're developing that solution right now, expected to release in late 2025. And this is the platform that's going to, again, use the data of the credit union and provide more predictive analytics and automated queues to help in recoveries and collections for the credit unions. As we're talking to credit unions this year about Default Sleuth and the ability for the things that it can do, we have a lot of interest in this solution. Again, we're hoping to come out later this year with a live version of Default Sleuth. The last piece of the strategic plan for 2025 that we're working on is to go more national, to grow our national footprint. Many of our members are along the East Coast. We have members throughout the country, but a majority of them are on the East Coast. But given the strength we have in capital, given the strength we have in our educational platforms, our overnight rate, and again, with Vertus AI and soon to be Default Sleuth, we have a story to tell, we believe, and we are going to go more national. We started that this year, and going forward, we're going to continue to look to go more national and grow our membership outside of our base footprint on the East Coast. That's just going to only help the members of Vizo Financial as we hopefully grow the balance sheet. We add users to some of these platforms, which adds fee income, just going to further support our strength and enhance the member value that you already see. As Jeff mentioned as well, it's not only giving back and using capital to invest in products and solutions, but some of it is just straight giving back to the membership. And we introduced the member incentive credit program a couple of years ago. We accrue for this each year, and ideally, we can give out more. If the financial performance of the corporate provides, we will give more back to the member if we can. And last year, we had a very strong year, and we were able to over accrue in that account. And so, as Jeff mentioned, we were able to give up to 75% of annual billings back in 2024. This is all based on services used. The more services you use, the more of the give back you can get back. And the total reward last year was $4.1 million. So far this year in 2025, again, we're accruing our normal amount. We've had some very strong months so far this year, and we are accruing additional funds in the member incentive credit. I'm not going to promise anything, but so far this year, it's early through May, but we're confident we can provide a very strong member incentive credit back to the membership at the end of this year as well. Last year, we paid a very high rate on the PCC in December at 7%, and that flex account, like I said earlier, at 5 basis points, remains extremely strong rate. So far this year, financial performance has been very strong. And so our hope is to continue and invest in solutions and products, as I talked about, but this member incentive credit and a strong PCC dividend rate in September, we'd love to do that again here at the end of this year. The one thing that we introduced a few years back as well is the empowerment grants. We continue to do that as well, working through our credit union leagues and associations and our state foundations, giving them a grant of $50,000 for each foundation, committing over $1 million over the next 5 years. That's been a great tool for our foundations. It's added and enhanced the relationships we as a corporate have had with our credit union leagues and associations throughout the East Coast. That's been a very popular program. And lastly, just investing back into the company, adding expertise and staff. As I mentioned earlier, we hired an individual to be the liaison for the Verse AI platform. So we feel it's important if we introduce products and services that we think are important to the membership, it's best to have somebody internal really to support that and provide that liaison and relationship between the corporate and the membership. And so we're looking at staffing and adding where we can, and enhancing systems where we can, and then creation of QSOs or investing in QSOs going forward. As I mentioned earlier, we did create our own QSO that's spinning out the default sleuth solution. I believe as CEO, the most important thing that we need to focus on is our people. I believe if our people are happy and engaged and are working well, that's just going to lead into better member service and a better engagement with our membership. As we have had since the pandemic, our workforce is remote. It continues to work well for us as a corporate. Obviously, for natural person creditings, it doesn't work quite as well. But for us, we don't have any walk-in traffic. So it works very well for the corporate. And a lot of the staff that we hire are more subject matter experts, consultative type employees. So being remote allows us to hire more strategically and hire key folks that don't have to be truly resident in a certain location. That's been very effective over a number of years. And we still very much focus on culture. Even though the staff is remote, we believe we can have a very strong culture. And we do. And it's backed up by the numbers. As Jeff mentioned, we won a Gallup Award twice. We actually won it 3 times in a row when we were announced at the end of 2024, or the first part of this year that we won in 2024, our third year in a row winning the Gallup Award. And you can see by the graph where our numbers are at on the Gallup survey with regard to engagement, the average winning score, the winning average score, engagement score, 70%. And you can see ours is quite high, well above 80. And this year, in 2024, almost 90%. So extremely strong engagement scores. The numbers prove it out. What's most important to me, these numbers are awesome. And winning it 3 years in a row is awesome. But the next slide really shows how this culture is working, how our remote workforce is working. As I said, if our people are engaged and we have a strong culture, this should lead to stronger member engagement. And you can see here, as Jeff mentioned earlier, our member survey that we conduct every fall, we had our highest score ever. So this is what the members are saying. We're engaged with them. We are delivering them services and products that they like. They love the member incentive credit. They love the higher rate. So our members are telling us we're doing a good job. So extremely proud of our staff for this score, because this really just ties in everything that we're doing strategically, our strategic plan, everything that I mentioned, the things that we're delivering, the products and services, the pricing, the member incentive credit. Is it all working? And it really sums up with the member survey. The members telling us, yes, it is. They're very excited. They're very happy. And that record high score is just very pleasing to me. So it's a big thank you and appreciation to our entire staff for all the hard work they do throughout the year. But also a big thank you to you, the membership, for your trust and engagement in the corporate. We continue to try and strive to do whatever we can to make you more successful for the future. And love to hear your comments and suggestions throughout the year. That does help shape our strategic plan of how your corporate, Vizo Financial, can help you be more successful in the future. So thank you very much. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair. I'll be open to questions if there are any.
Thank you, Fred. Great report and very strong outlook for the membership and for the movement as a whole. Are there any questions for Fred on his report? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to old business. At this time, I'd like to ask if there is any old business to be presented. And again, if you could please select the raise hand icon if you'd like to comment, your line will be unmuted. And again, remember, please identify yourself by name and the credit union you represent when addressing the meeting. Okay, hearing none, I'm not aware of any unfinished old business, so we'll move on to new business. Is there any new business items to be presented? And again, please identify yourself by name and the credit union you represent. Okay, hearing none, I am also not aware of any new business. And we'd like to now introduce the 2025 nominating committee. Dan Barry from the Vizo Financial Board serves as chair. He is also joined by Afua Isando, Dominion Energy Credit Union, Richmond, Virginia. Amy Sprignoli, Belcove Community Credit Union, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Dan, can you please provide the update on the nominating committee report?
Absolutely. First, I'd also like to thank my fellow members on the nominating committee for their efforts. The nominating committee met in accordance with our bylaws, and the following candidates for 2025 election were selected: Jeff Chilios, Riverfront Federal Credit Union; Derek Vizel, Pahu Wo, Federal Credit Union; Scott Woods, South Carolina Federal Credit Union. There were 3 nominations were approved for 3 open board seats, and no nominations by petition were received. And that's my report.
Thank you, Dan. According to the bylaws, the election of the directors is by a plurality vote. So except when there is only one nominee for a vacant position, as is the case this year with 3 candidates and 3 open positions, no board election was held. Therefore, are there any objections to approving the slate of candidates as presented? And again, if so, please raise your hand and your line will be unmuted. Okay, great. Motion carries. Thank you. And congratulations, Derek, Scott, and Jeff. And our thanks, Dan, to the nominating committee and your team for the work during this year's nomination process. The committee is hereby discharged. And there being no further agenda items to address, are there any objections to adjourning the 2025 annual business meeting of Vizo Financial Corporate Credit Union? If so, please raise your hand and your line will be unmuted. Okay, seeing none, motion carries. Thank you all for attending the annual meeting. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you.